Hello? Okay. 안녕하세요. My name is Mel McCann, and I'm from the Cardano Foundation. I'm very happy to be here in Busan, Korea. I'm delighted to meet every one of you. And today I want to talk about Cardano, some simple features on Cardano, and then also using those simple features to generate business. So I don't have a lot of time to talk about Cardano, but I will give a brief overview, and then we'll talk about the foundation and what we do there at the foundation, and then upgrading the systems of the world. So when Cardano was founded, it was around 2015, and three entities were formed. The Cardano Foundation, which is a non-profit based in Switzerland, and that's who I work for. Input Output Global, or IOHK as they're also known, and they handled the development side of things. And then Emergo, which is based in Japan and now Singapore, which was the venture capital arm and also the education arm. When Cardano was created, it was done in such a way, defining different roadmap eras, to reinvent the wheel as such, because at the time, and we see this even now, and a previous speaker mentioned it, a lot of protocols simply fork Bitcoin, or they fork Litecoin, and they go from there. Whereas we started from scratch. We have over 140 academic publications, and our blockchain is built on academic research, and then using formal methods and implemented in Haskell. So the reason it was done this way is for stability, and so people can trust it. So we have the Byron era, which was the foundation, and I'm going to be very quick on these just to move through them. What happened in the Byron era was creating the base layer so we can build everything else above it. So the Byron era introduced the ADA token, okay, which was sold at the time and then traded on exchanges and so on and so forth. But it also provided a solid layer for research to happen on, and also for simple auditing. So once you start building up from there, then you can add more features. So after that, we added the Shelley era, which included the addition of a treasury. So Cardano is fully decentralized now, but going from Byron to Shelley, we gradually over time became more and more decentralized. So in Cardano, we have stake pools, which are the validators, and at the point of the hard fork, so in Cardano we call them hard forks, but they're protocol upgrades, we introduced a treasury, so we have sustainability in our blockchain. We also introduced an incentives mechanism, so you can delegate your ADA without it ever leaving your wallet. There's no locking, there's no slashing, so you delegate your ADA to a pool, and then you can earn rewards. And all of the rewards distribution is handled by the protocol. So there's no possibility of a stake pool taking your funds, okay? So then we move on to Goguen, which was the smart contract era, and also introducing native assets and on-chain metadata. And on-chain metadata I've highlighted in red because I want to talk about that later. And I want to talk about native assets. So for example, a native asset might be if I want to create Melcoin on Cardano, you know, then I can do that, but the difference is it's not done in smart contracts, it's done in the transaction level. So Cardano is an extended UTXO blockchain, okay? You can do a lot of things without using smart contracts. Then we have Basho, which is about scalability and solving that big problem that everyone's talking about. So in Basho, we're talking about input endorsers, we're talking about pipelining, we're talking about making the layer one as performant as a layer one can possibly be. It also includes a layer two, I don't know if they were going to be able to translate this, but isomorphic state channels called Hydra, which allows you to have the same functionality on a layer 2 as you have on layer 1. And then we have Voltaire, which is the governance era, which is the remaining era. And this is to do with how we govern Cardano, how we decide on the updates of the future, okay? So moving on from that, just a quick overview on Cardano. We have Time is divided into epochs and slots and blocks and transactions. And at the epoch boundary is when all the calculations are done. So when you earn rewards, you can delegate in epoch 1, and then so on and so forth. In a later epoch, you'll get your rewards. In the transaction, you have the ability to have scripts, okay? So it is a UTXO-based blockchain, extended UTXO. We have what are called native scripts, which allows you to do time locking, which allows you to do other cool things within a UTXO blockchain, right? And we don't suffer from the same concurrency issues, let's say, as an account-based model. This is what a transaction body looks like in Cardano right now, okay? So in Cardano, we define our transactions as CDDLs. So obviously this is a developer conference and I wanted to present some of the low-level stuff. So if you are going to get involved in developing on Cardano, this is what you're going to be interested in. This is the very most core base thing that you need to know, is what a transaction actually looks like and how do I leverage that for my application or what I want to build. So number 7 there, auxiliary data hash, is what we're going to talk about and how we use that to build a business model. So like I said, it's a proof of stake protocol and it's based on Ouroboros. There's a number of different iterations of Ouroboros and we've done a lot of research on that area. Currently, we're in a modified version of Ouroboros Prowess. We've had 2 previous versions when we were in the Byron era, Ouroboros BFT and Ouroboros Classic. So, one of the things that I wanted to do as a team for talking to everyone here was I come from a developer background, okay, but I'm also entrepreneurial, and I know a lot of developers are entrepreneurial. Everyone wants to create the next business. Everyone has ideas. Everyone wants to build apps. So I find that in the blockchain space, I work with a lot of really smart people, but they also go for really smart solutions to things, whereas I like simple, so I do. So in a transaction on Cardano, you have those 2 fields that I've highlighted. One is data hash, so metadata, and the other one is for minting native assets. Oh, and yeah, we have Melcoin and then Jenny Kim NFT. And how do I do this? So a native asset on Cardano involves you creating an amount, so what you want to mint. So if I want to mint 100 Melcoin, a unique policy ID, okay, and then an asset name. And they get combined on-chain. And when you create a transaction on Cardano, that is part of the transaction body, okay? So it's that simple. You don't need a smart contract to create an NFT, to use a native asset. So an NFT on Cardano is a combination of a native asset and some metadata. So a small amount of data that just describes what your NFT is all about. And typically with NFTs, you have Arweave, you have IPFS or some other data storage. You have 16 kilobytes of data on Cardano, so you can actually store small data or small, like base64 encoded images in that metadata if you want it completely in the transaction. So you can store the image on Cardano as well if you choose. So the Cardano Foundation, who I work for, is a Swiss foundation, and we oversee a lot of the ecosystem and the development, and our job is essentially looking into the future and seeing how we can generate the most impact using what we have and what we want to build. Our core values include inclusion, transparency, impact, and passion, okay? So part of our goal really is to connect with developers, is to connect with businesses and build partnerships, okay? To connect with the community and understand what your needs are so we can better service you. I mean, we're not just deciding, oh, I think we'll build something that's awesome for us, because it won't work. We need to build something that people can build businesses on, that people can be creative with, okay? So one of the things we have in our formal strategy, so we defined a formal strategy, and it's upgrading the systems of the world, right? And there's a lot of talk about, you know, Web 3 overtaking Web 2 and blah, 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 but that's not realistic. We all, you know, we have coal factories in the world, we have, you know, nuclear power plants, we have all of these things that live in harmony together. Maybe not harmony, but it's part of the world we're in. So what I want to focus on, and part of what I do at the foundation, is looking at how we can take an industry and how we can change the business model, how we can take what we have and benefit that industry. So this is the way we see the world and the way we see how we fit into it. And our value capture layer, you know, is looking at decentralized apps, but also legacy businesses. So, and you'll see an example of a legacy business shortly, all right? So 2 years ago, myself and my colleague Jeremy started on a journey with the Georgian winery. Okay, so Georgia has the oldest tradition of creating wine in the world, and it's a beautiful country. And this is a very small vineyard, and we connected with them. And what we wanted to achieve there was, how can we do something that benefits their business? So that winery was suffering from a counterfeit winery about 40 kilometers away. What was happening was this other vineyard was copying their wine, which is high quality, and then selling it off as buyer's wine, right? So what we wanted to do was prevent this using the most simple way possible, because you have to remember that the ladies that run this vineyard, they're not crypto people, they're not programmers, you know, they barely know how to use a computer, they're not interested in it. What they're interested in is making amazing wine, you know, so we wanted to make it as simple as possible. Now, obviously, when it comes to blockchain, there's obviously going to be a little bit of complexity, but we try to minimize that. So what we did was, we created a basic proof of concept with the vineyard. And the idea was that they would digitally sign a record that would go on the wine bottle in a tamper-proof QR code. So we partnered with a company called ScanTrust. And ScanTrust produced this QR code that's printed to such a high resolution that you can't copy it. You can't scan it with your phone and then print it out. Even if you have the most amazing scanner and, you know, the printer is ridiculously expensive, it becomes cost prohibitive. So in that partnership, what we did was we designed the metadata. So in this, you'll see that we have a title, just because we want it to be somewhat human readable. So normally when you look at metadata on a blockchain, all you see is a message digest or a hash, and that's it. You'd have no idea what's going on. But we wanted to be able to go onto a blockchain explorer and see that, okay, this relates to buyer's wine, and this is the type of wine. So then when they produce the wine, they have a manifest that tells you all the details of those bottles of wine. So we got them to digitally sign that manifest. So they upload that to a public URI. So you see URL to public data, that is the shipping manifest. That has all the details of all the wine that was produced for that batch, okay? So then we get the hash of that. Because the blockchain is immutable, once you write this, that hash is never going to change on the blockchain. If someone changes that data source, you'll be able to know that they modified it, okay? And then after that, we got them to sign it, and we got the supply chain company, ScanTrust, to sign this data, and then it gets submitted in a transaction, not in a smart contract, to the Cardano blockchain, okay? Simply using metadata. Part of what we did, so for the developers out there that are looking at the very bottom where I'm referencing public keys, We chose not to do a PKI. We chose to keep it really simple, okay? Because it was a proof of concept, we made certain decisions. There's lots of different ways that you can reference public keys and you can prove the authenticity or the validity of a data record. But for this, we just wanted to keep it simple. So that's an example of a bottle of wine. And once we launched this program, not only did it prevent the copying of buyer's wine, which was great, it helped their business, it reduced the fraud related to that, and also it opened up new markets because people were intrigued. People were interested as to why a small vineyard in Georgia is using the Cardano blockchain. It's somewhat incongruous, but it actually makes sense when you think about it. So I'm going to skip that one and go to this. Last week, well, actually 10 days ago, I went to Georgia for the first time. So I'd never been to Georgia. I had never met Baya, the owner of the vineyard. I got to meet her and have lunch with her, which was amazing. But also we signed an agreement with the National Wine Agency and the Bolnisi Winemakers Association to expand this program. So now we're going to run it for an entire region in the country of Georgia. Okay, based on one simple metadata record, we now have this agreement that we're going to change the way Georgian wine is protected, change the way it's certified. So the National Wine Agency will provide certification for all of the wine in that region. So then when you go to export it, it's as easy as scanning a QR code. It's as easy as checking the blockchain record. There's no paper manifests. So we've made an impact there, and that's really what I look for and what I want to achieve as I work in blockchain. There's a lot of people working on DEXs. There's a lot of people working on really clever things, but I think that we need to remember that there are businesses there, simple businesses, that can really benefit from the technology we have, from the research that we've done, and we shouldn't forget them. It also, for all of the entrepreneurs in the room, means that there's an opportunity there. If you look at simple businesses, and then you look at the technology stack that you're most comfortable with, whether it be Cardano or another layer one, you can identify these opportunities. So my final thoughts before I mosey on, simplicity in business models is a good thing in my opinion, okay? It has really benefited us, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done in Georgia with the National Wine Agency, because it's not a complex solution. When you do computer science, in the first year you learn about hash algorithms and digital signatures and RSA and ED25519. That's first year stuff. But it can make an impact. So that's it. And thank you so much for your time. 감사합니다.
Well, thank you very much for your keynote presentation. I believe that we now have a little bit of time for questions.
Okay.
And we have a question in Korean. And so I will translate that for you. Technologically speaking, Cardano has the security and decentralization factors. However, maybe because it focuses so much on the two factors of security and decentralization, compared to other mainnets,
yep,
maybe it falls behind a little bit in building the ecosystem. Do you have any plans on solidifying or building the ecosystem?
That is an excellent question. I don't know who asked that, but I really like this question because Cardano has been slower than a lot of the protocols because we spend so much time doing academic research, okay? But as time goes on, you'll see that the progress we're speeding up. So tonight at 4 a.m., we're doing a hard fork, okay? Oh, sorry, 4 a.m. Irish time. No, 4 a.m. Korea time. I'm still jet lagged. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm very happy to be here. So I would rather be slow. I would rather take my time, do the 140 research papers, and build something that's stable, build something that's robust. If you're going to build a critical system on a blockchain, like a banking system or a healthcare system or anything else that's really important, are you going to build it on something that's based on academic research and formal methods and that you can verify that it works the way it's supposed to work? Or are you going to build it on a blockchain that was built by a bunch of dudes just hanging out and thought they had a great idea? It depends on what you're looking for, right? So for me, we get a lot of interest from banks. We get a lot of interest from insurance companies and governments, okay? People who want that academic rigor, people who want formal verification, and people who know that if they're going to build a system and spend a lot of money building a system, that system will last and will be secure in the future. That's why we take our time in building things. If we rush things, well, then we make mistakes, things break, and it doesn't impact just us. It impacts every business that's built on Cardano. And that's why we're very careful. Since 2015, when Charles Hoskinson decided that they wanted to build Cardano, it's taken us to this point to be competitively comparable to a lot of the other chains, okay? But that's okay. We're going to be around for a long time. We want enterprises to build on Cardano. We want people to feel safe. We want people to know that their funds are safe. That's why we take our time. So I hope that answers your question, and thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate it.
So it's slow and steady wins the race, is it?
I hope so.
Yes, all right. Then we have another question here. Are there any specific reasons for choosing extended UTXO instead of account and the balance model?
So yes, there are quite a number of reasons. The problem with the account-based model is that you need to maintain a snapshot of the current balances. Okay, you need to maintain a snapshot of the current UTXO set, right? Or well, not UTXO set. So the balances of all the addresses. Okay, making that scale is extremely difficult. Right, so I'll let you in on a little secret. In Cardano, we have the extended UTXO for the core blockchain. The rewards mechanism in Cardano is actually account-based because it's appropriate for the rewards mechanism. Because if we put the rewards in the UTXO side of things, it would have exploded. So every reward that would have been calculated, every little bit over every epoch, would have amounted to a huge amount of data that we don't need to store. For the rewards, we just need the balance of your rewards, okay? And then you spend it into your UTXO. However, on the base layer, you end up with a much easier system if you stay with UTXO. And then going from UTXO to extended UTXO allows you to incorporate, native scripts, which you can do time locking and other cool features. So that was the reason why we moved from, you have to remember, right? Charles Hoskinson was one of the founders of Ethereum. He intimately, knows the account-based model. He's one of the people who implemented it. And he still chose to go for the UTXO model, right? When we were creating Cardano. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
I hope so too. Well, thank you once again for the presentation and the answers. Please give him another big round of applause. Thank you very much.
감사합니다. Thank you.
고맙습니다.